So we got some pretty interesting news for you guys, including the Lunar Festival for Guild Wars 2, Animal Crossing doing a crossover event with Nintendo's Mario, Mass Effect's worst kept secret is finally out of the bag, and CD Projekt Red warns about downloading mods that could potentially hurt your computer. Hello everyone, my name is Salman SK for Coffee and RPGs, where we cover the latest news, trends, and updates for the MMO and RPG gaming genre. If you guys got your cut ready with your beverage of choice, I'm drinking coffee as always. Let's go over these articles together. Cheers to you guys.
Consider hitting the subscribe button down below, as well as the bell notification right next to it. Thank you! So
before we begin, there is a game that I want to cover here that isn't really an RPG, but it is a sandbox roguelike game, and in their first article here from GameOnto.com, it says that physics sandbox roguelike Pigeon Simulator announced for the PC. And the reason why I'm laughing is because I have the trailer playing right now, and in this game you have the opportunity to play as a pigeon and go around and pick people up and drop them from the sky and start pooping on people and farting on them and just do all sorts of crazy things, and it's just so dumb, but also looks tremendously fun because of that. But anyways, and in their next article, I wanted to cover this game really quick, even though it's not really an RPG, and it says that Chinese studio Digital Sky announces high-speed sci-fi action game Projekt TD. And when I saw this article, I immediately thought of another game trailer that was released last year from China, and that game was called Wukong. And Wukong just completely took the internet by storm, and a lot of people seem to be interested. And to be honest with you, something like this fits more of my tastes as a sci-fi fan, more so than a fantasy fan. And as always, I have the trailer playing right now, and I admit I'm very impressed by the gameplay footage that we have so far. Definitely reminds you of games such as God of War and Devil May Cry, but that's not necessarily a bad thing in my opinion, and I'll definitely keep you guys posted as we get more information about this game. And before we do move on really quick, Digital Sky's past work includes Dragon Ball Z and Tokyo Ghoul for the mobile platform, just to give you an idea of what kind of stuff they made in the past and their credentials. And in their next article, it says that Unconventional RPG adventure Everhood for Switch PC launches on March 4th. Now this game will go for $15 on the Switch and $10 on the PC, and this is definitely for somebody who are into that sort of pixel art RPGs out there. But what makes this RPG in particular unconventional is, I guess, the way it plays. And as you can see, I have the trailer playing right now, and you have everything from racing in the game. You also have what looks like to be jumping puzzles and some level that resembles the thing that you see in Guitar Hero, and just a bunch of other things that kind of sort of mishmash together and whatnot. And so I think that's why they're calling this an unconventional RPG. Looks kind of fun either way, but yeah, there you have it. And let's go ahead and switch gears and head on over to massivelyop.com. And it says that Guild Wars 2 Lunar Year's event are set to go live today. And that's the good news. The bad news is that they've been having some technical difficulties, and so there are some aspect of the event that will be put on hold just for now until they could get things fixed. And in their next article, it says that World War II Online's 2021 roadmap includes bomber loadouts and half-tracks. And if you didn't know, I certainly didn't, this game is also called Battleground Europe. And even though it's being described as an MMO, it's not your traditional MMO, but it does go on to say that World War II Online's 2021 roadmap includes development for integrated voice comms, the ability to change missions target, and the discontinuation of the 32-bit client on April 1st. The team also has a very special anniversary planned for the MMO's 20th birthday on June 6th. That long, 20 years. Wow, that's older than World of Warcraft if I'm not mistaken. And in their next article, it says that Elder Scrolls Online Jester's festival hits PTS tomorrow. And again, this is their public test server, not in the official real servers out right now. But if you do want to take a look at what's to come in the oh man, I can't pronounce that. In the Jester's festival, you'll be able to test new daily quests called a Foe Most Porcine, a King's Spoils, as well as Prankster's Carnival. And in their next article, it says that Final Fantasy XIV's patch 5.45 is now live, as well as the Feast Season 18. Now, this is something that I covered a few episodes ago, and one of the biggest changes, or the main changes, is the Blue Mage itself. Also live today are the new Resistance Weapons quest, and they also, again, as I mentioned earlier, have the Feast hosts Season 18, and the rankings will be updated daily as the season progresses, which you can check out on the Lodestone. Next, we head on over to GameSpewed.com, and Final Fantasy 12, the Falconeer, and more coming to the Xbox Game Pass this month. And the main reason why I wanted to cover this is because of the fact Final Fantasy 12 is included in this month's Game Pass, and in my opinion, Final Fantasy 12 was the best entry in the Final Fantasy series. That's just my opinion. I really enjoyed 12 more so than any other Final Fantasy, with the exception of 8. I really did enjoy 8 as well. Next, we head on over to GamesRadar.com, and it says that Animal Crossing New Horizons next update will be a Mario celebration. And if you didn't know already, Nintendo is celebrating the Mario Brothers franchise, and that it's hitting 35 years this year in 2021. With that being said, Nintendo said at the time that the update would add new Super Mario themed furniture to Animal Crossing New Horizons in March, and there also are activities and other festivities planned as well, but we actually don't know what those are exactly, but definitely stay tuned as I get more information. And really quick, I found this to be really interesting. We head on over to GameRant.com and still talking about Animal Crossing, and it says here that Apex Legends developer wants an Animal Crossing New Horizons crossover. And if you didn't know, Apex is actually coming to the Nintendo Switch pretty soon, and I can't think of two wildly different games and doing a crossover for them, considering Apex Legends is a brutal competitive shooting game and Animal Crossing is like this cutesy little fluffy RPG where, well, anyways, you get the idea. Next, we head on over to altchar.com, and Gearbox is bought by THQ Nordic owner Embracer Group. Now, I've never heard of Embracer Group, but it does go on to say that the company owns the likes of THQ Nordic, as I mentioned earlier in the title, as well as Saber Interactive and Koch Media, so Gearbox will surely make a valuable addition to the arsenal. Now, I don't know if this is a good or bad thing to all the Borderlands fans out there, but if you do know anything else other than what's written here, definitely let me know down in the comment section below of what you expect to come. And in their next article, and I do apologize that the title is cut off on the right there, but it says that Destiny 2 will have 3 additional strikes in Season of the Chosen. But it does go on to say that Destiny 2 is getting a lot of recycled content once again, and there are 2 strikes among other stuff. Fallen, Saber, and Devil's Lair, are making a return. But as for the new strike, it is called the Proving Grounds, and what it actually entails, I'm actually not too sure. The article didn't really get into it, but again, if you know anything other than what's written here, let me know down in the comment section below of what this might be. And let's go ahead and switch gears one last time and head on over to PCGamer.com. And in the first article, it says that Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous beta test kicks off with a new trailer and screens. Now, this is definitely going to be familiar to those who've actually played the previous entry of the game called Pathfinder Kingmaker, and this was released back in 2018. But even if you haven't, this is definitely for somebody who are into those old school isometric RPGs, for example, like Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale. But the devs did describe this as a indirect sequel that moves the action to a new region called Worldwound. And they actually did a Kickstarter and pulled over $2 million in support, and so it just goes to show how much of a following that this game has. And in their next article, it says that Mass Effect Legendary Edition, the first game is a partial remake and the sequels are remasters. Now, there are tons of articles covering this right now as to what it has, what it doesn't have, what are some of the changes. I mean, PCGamer.com alone probably has 5 different articles on the Legendary Edition alone, so I chose this one because I thought this was the most interesting one so far. And it does go on to say that BioWare explained some of the few changes that have been made to gameplay and why. They all involve the first game in the series, which makes sense as the first Mass Effect was mostly an RPG, and in my opinion, that's not a bad thing, but I understand why some people might not really like that because it's so slow paced. So the first Mass Effect game in its Legendary Edition form has received substantial changes to the combat system and UI, with various interface overhauled and things brought in line with the sequel's improvements, which include better aiming, squad controls, team AI, and better camera positioning. And for the last article for today's video, it says that CD Projekt warns against using Cyberpunk 2077 mods until a serious security flaw is fixed. And to people out there such as myself who've been modding games for a number of years now, especially if you played games from the Fallout series or the Elder Scrolls series, this is nothing new. We've always had this risk or concern in the back of our minds when downloading mods and stuff like that. So, but Cyberpunk on the other hand was one of the most hyped and one of the best-selling games, at least for the PC, of all time, and so you're definitely going to get a lot of people who's never modded games before who might consider modding now. That being said, definitely be careful of what you download. Me personally, I've always been downloading my mods from a site called Nexus Mod Manager, not sponsored by them or anything like that, but I've been using Nexus Mod Manager and Vortex for years now with hardly any problems whatsoever. And that concludes today's episode of MMO and RPG news updates and commentary. I really do appreciate it if you made it with me so far, as that significantly helps with the algorithms with regards to the watch time. And if you feel as though I have earned your subscription, please consider hitting the subscribe button down below, as well as the bell notification icon right next to it, as those two significantly helps out the channel and I would greatly appreciate it. Anyways, everyone, I know that was a lot of articles to go over, so I'll finally let you guys go. Hope you guys have a blessed night, and I will see you guys next time. Cheers again, everyone.